Hello everybody. It's been a while since I did one of these drawing tutorials, and this one, sorry to say, was supposed to be posted like 2 or 3 weeks ago, but I got sick. I got a cold off my son, and I just wasn't able to do this type of a video. So this is going to be a complex kind of a tutorial. It's going to be a little more complex than the ones that I've done in the past. We're going to use some geometry, and we're going to create something that looks like this. So the idea is that we're going to create a circle border knot using grid work that we're going to draw out using geometry, and that will help us draw out this round shaped knot. In the other tutorials we were doing the straight ones. Now we're going to bend it. We're going to do the round one. It's more complicated. There's a lot more steps and there's geometry involved, but we can do it. So I'm going to set this up. I'm probably going to take this video because it will be kind of a long one. I'm going to do it in segments, in parts. So I think it'll be easier to follow along, and I'm probably going to break it up into 2 separate videos. In this first one, we are going to just set up the circles, and we're going to divide up the circle into the segments that we need to create our grid. All right, so let's kind of get started because there's a lot to kind of go over. For my video, I already marked the center of my page, so it's kind of right there. Now, before I do this, I'm just going to tell you, I'm doing this dark so that it shows up on camera, but when you do it, you need to do it lightly. You need to draw it lightly because all of this that we're doing to set up this knot work is going to be erased. And if you press hard and you make it dark, you'll have to retrace your drawing because you'll be able to see all the marks. All right, so we're going to start. If you're not using grid paper, that's fine. You can just use regular paper. So the way I laid my circle out is this is going to be my outer circle, and I want it 4.5 inches in radius, 9 inches in diameter. So if I just mark there and there. Using grid paper to do this, I have to tell you, is so much easier because these let me mark that. Because these are, what are they, 1/4 inch squares? Yeah, they're like 1/4 inch squares. So it's so much easier to just kind of measure it. You can even eyeball a lot of it. So now that I have the outer points marked at 4.5, I'm just going to go ahead with my compass. Like I've said before, if you don't have, in a previous tutorial, if you don't have a compass like this, you can get a stick with a point and a pencil or 2 pencils and tie them together with string at whatever measurement you need, and it'll work. Now, and I kind of suspect that that's kind of what ancient people did when they laid out their plans for a lot of their circular monuments and stuff. All right, so we have our outer circle, and what I need are 3 more circles. So we'll have 4 concentric circles, and I want them to be 1/2 inch. I'm going to do 1/2 inch apart. And 1/2 inch is, we already know these blocks are 1/4 inch, so we're just going to go by that. 2 blocks is 1/2 inch, if each block is 1/4 inch, right? We're doing math, right? There's our second circle. Another 2 blocks, we'll do our third circle. And then another 2 blocks. Our fourth and final. All right. So our knot is going to be in between these lines, and then these 2 center lines are going to help us with the crisscross pattern. Okay. All right. Now that we have our 4 circles drawn, let me just take a look at my notes. All right. So now we're going to move on to a little more technical part of this. Now, we need to divide these circles up into sections. And at the end, we're going to have 32 sections. But I'm going to take you through it step by step, and there's 2 different techniques that you can use to do it. So I'll be doing kind of both at the same time. All right, now, here's where geometry comes in. A full circle that's not divided is 360 degrees. You divide that circle in half, you have divide that circle in half, it's 180 degrees, 180 degrees. If you divide that circle into quarters, each one of these angles will be 90 degrees. Okay, so far we have 4 sections. We need 32. And we're going to do that by dividing each one in half. Now, for this first one, I'm going to use a compass just because it's going to be easy to use a compass to get us started. Or I keep saying compass. These are not this is a protractor, people. If I use the wrong term, please excuse me. I'm just a little senile. I know the difference. My words sometimes. All right, so what is half 90? 45. So we're looking for a 45-degree angle, which is right there. Okay? So half of, and then while I'm here, I should have just done the other side. And on the other end of the protractor, it's going to be 135. Okay? Now let's line them up. We're going to line them up with the midpoint so that we know that we're going through. We might as well do the other side, right? Line it up with the midpoint. And by the way, I have a tutorial. Let me finish this and then I'll finish that thought for you. All right. So now we have 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 sections. Each section, if you're using a protractor, is 45 degrees. So you can measure it out that way. Now, we have to divide each one of these 45-degree sections in half. If you have a fancy protractor where it's easy for you to figure out where to put your lines, it's 22.5. I'm not even going to bother with this because my eyes can't see that. So I'm going to show you a different technique that I did in a previous tutorial, and I'll put a link to that in the bottom. And it's showing you how to find the midpoint of an arc. Okay? For this one, you will need your compass. Just like we do to find the midpoint of a line, you just open up your compass to something that's a little bit more than half the distance. And make sure you have an arc big enough that you can work with. This is going to get sloppy. Make sure that your lines are lighter than mine. All right, move to the other side of the arc and draw another arc to cross these lines. See how I'm crossing? Crossing right there. If I take my ruler and a pencil that's not dark, and I line up where these two cross with the midpoint, oops, oh, that was just horrible, wasn't it? I get half of 45, which is 22 and a half. So this should be 22 and a half, and this should be 22 and a half. All right, and we'll do that again. We have to do it a few more times. It's going to be a mess. And part of this is going to go off the page, so I am going to grab a page, just so I know where to mark. Find me a blank piece of paper, would be nice. Okay. And I'm just going to line up just so that, because it's going to go off the page now. And that's okay. All right. We're going to draw our arc here and our arc here. You're going to end up with a lot of lines, but they're all going to be erased. Oh, that's not too bad. Okay. Oh, by the way, I am using, I suggest you use a range of pencils. 2H, HB, 2B, 5B. Use a range of pencils. Use your lightest pencil, like a 2H, to draw these lines. It'll make it easier. Don't press too hard. It'll make it easier to erase them later. Believe it or not, it's going to take us longer to set up the grid than it is to actually draw the knotwork. I think maybe the same amount of time, but that's why I'm doing this in two different videos. All right, so we have our 22 and a half, 22 and a half, so we have this part of the circle done. We just need to do the other sections. I'm going to do the same thing. Excuse my sniffles. I'm still getting over this cold that my son gave me. Anybody else sick? This is like, I think it's a combination of cold and allergies. I'm not a happy camper. So I've been hacking and coughing and sneezing and all kinds of gross stuff for the past 3 weeks. All right, we're going to draw that line. And then we're going to do the two that are remaining. Oops, move my page. And we just need to make sure that we are drawing these. If I'm going really quick for you, like I said, I do have a tutorial that you can watch that will show you how to find a midpoint of a line and a midpoint of an arc without having a ruler to measure. And it really is this simple, but it does leave a lot of marks and circles. All right, now, we're not done yet. We still have to take each one of these sections and break them down into half. And then each one of those angles will be 11.25 degrees. For those of you who like math, who have nice protractors that you can use that will allow you to get those tiny little measurements. for me, this is just so much quicker to do it this way. I'm going to step away for a second. All right, and we are going to do these. I'm going to do this exactly the same way we just did. And like I said, it's going to be a hot mess. You're going to have arcs all over the place. Just keep an eye out on what you're doing. It'll be all right. And I'm so sorry, I'm sniffling in the camera. Just make sure we wind up with the once you know what you're doing, you can literally do it really quickly. You just have to watch where all your lines are, because after a bit you have a lot of lines. You could just erase them as you go, if that helps you. Just erase them as you go. I just do it and hope I don't screw it up, and then just erase them all when I'm done or when I don't need them anymore. I screwed that one up, didn't I? Yes, I did. All right, guys, you're seeing this live. I just screwed that up because that and that, because I'm going too fast. And I know what I did. I didn't line them up with the midpoint, did I? They must be lined up with the midpoint. Let's see if that's a better result. Yeah. Okay, they're still a little off. Still a little bit off. I'm thinking this one's a little bit off. And that would be because I rushed. Because I rushed to get it done. All right, that's better. All right, so each one of these are now 11.25 degrees, these angles. If you're a math thing and, you know, if that's your thing. It's not really my thing. All right, let's go through and do the rest of them. And maybe a little slower this time so I don't make a mistake, right? That's part of the fun of it, though, you know? All right, I think what I'm going to do instead of drawing them all the way through to the other side is I'm just going to go through and do each one individually around the circle. I think I will get better results that way. I think that's what I did differently this time. I usually do these, well, I already done this once for a blog tutorial, so I'll put a link to that in the bottom, in the description, or in the comments. And for those people who like blogs, it's a step-by-step for you basically just doing this. It just shows you with some pictures and some step-by-step instructions. And I am a Blick Art affiliate and an Amazon affiliate, so you may find links affiliate links in my blog, just FYI. Alright, so I'm probably not going to do every single one of these on camera. I'll do the top bit for you so you can see. And there's also something I wanted to point out to you before I sign off here. Let's do these. Oh, that one's almost off the page. Like you're lining up the intersections with the center. Hopefully more carefully than what I'm doing right now. I'm just I'm feeling sniffles coming on, and I'm trying to get this done before I really start sniffling in the camera. Alright. Lining up with the center. Alright. I'm going to do the rest of it off camera. Before I do the next part of the video, the second part 2. This is part 1, and I'll do part 2 next. But I just wanted to show you, as you're going through, you see that these are just basically overlapping circles that are helping you get these midpoints. And the midpoints that you're getting, if you take a look at this shape, this is called sacred geometry, people. That's a Vesica Pisces, I think is what it's called. It's really it's used in ancient geometry artwork. It's considered part of sacred geometry. There's probably a lot of other things that go into it. I have to do a little more research about it, but this is basically you're using geometry to create, right? You're using circles and lines and angles to create artwork. It's something that's really fascinating to me, and I've found that a lot of Celtic art, not all of it, but a lot of it uses some aspect of this like sacred geometry. So I just wanted to point that out to you. If you take a look at you'll see the circles from where I did the larger circle. So if you look at it, train your eye to look at it, you see that there's patterns there. So part of this is just learning how to see the patterns instead of leaning totally on, things that have numbers on them. Right? You can use numbers if that helps you, if you like math. Okay, so this is going to be the end of part 1. I'm going to finish the rest of these offline so I can take my time and set it up right for you. When we come back, the second video is going to be me putting in what's called a spine. And it's going to be a different technique from what I did with the straight knots. So we're going to try something different. I'll show you a different kind of technique that you can use to make knots, and you could see how that works for you. All right, so thank you for watching this. Hopefully this helped you out a little bit. Please keep your eye out for the second video, which I'm going to try to do right after this one. After I finish doing the bottom here, okay? And if you like it, hit subscribe, share, leave some comments down below if you have any questions. Again, I have a blog that walks through this. I have another tutorial on how to find midpoints of lines and arcs. I will put those links down in the description for you, because that would be incredibly helpful for you to watch that first before you try and do this, because I went pretty fast through this. Okay? All right, well, have a great day, guys, and see you in part 2.